You know, the whole premise of the ski industry is what we've been talking about tonight. Ski bums, snowboarders, doing whatever it takes to ski all day, every day. And based on that customer base, it sure is nice to have a few adults in the room to keep the train on the tracks. And for 40 years, Rusty, a former NFL player turned ski industry executive, has been one of those adults in the room, steering the industry into a very productive future. Like many of us, he started as a simple lift-off and worked his way all the way up to understanding how the resort world works from the inside out. Today, the resorts is nothing like it used to be. Gone are those 10th mountain pioneers. Gone are even the mom and pop locations. Gone is the original revenue model. So much has changed. And resort executives today have to walk a fine line between keeping the soul and the spirit of skiing and snowboarding alive while getting the revenue side of the balance sheet going in the right direction. And sometimes there's a disconnect. Over the last 3 years, we've seen 30 years, 3 decades, we've seen such a big boom in what ski resorts look like. Look at the classic, unbelievable lifts we have here with the 8-pack, the 6-pack, the new tram, the gondola going in from the base. And that's just one resort for Boyne. Look at all of the infrastructure going around, all around the country and the world. These lifts are getting so sophisticated, it's unbelievable. Over in Engelberg, one of my favorite places to go in Europe, there's a tram that spins 360 degrees as you're going up. I often joke that I think the future of ski lifts will be roller coasters. It'll be a thrill ride to the top. And why not? Rusty. Then you look at snowmaking and how that has revolutionized and saving the sport, the grooming, the operational side. And then there's all the data that's telling everybody how many runs we ski, where we ski, how often we ski. It's a lot to sort out. Now when we have corporations and multiple resorts, we've got to get everybody on the same page, from the lift op to the groomer to the guy in the maintenance shack, all the way up through all the layers of management, and sell this product to the public in the face of what we think is global warming. It's a lot. And if you look at Alterra and what they've been able to do and what Rusty has been able to navigate and negotiate to bring all this together, to get such a diverse product line on the same page, from the customer, the lift op, all the way up and through, that's no easy feat. We're rebel skiers and snowboarders. We just soon not show up to work. And that's their employee base. It's outrageous. From the boardrooms to the garages, Rusty has been able to spearhead one of the biggest shifts in the market, while all the time keeping his eye on the competition and building a cohesive management team and a worldwide family of resorts while building a dedicated and committed customer base. It's no easy task. And there's no room to hide from the critics and everybody who thinks it should be done a different way. But nobody's Monday morning quarterbacking this deal. This is our lifeblood. This is what resorts are going to look like in the future. It's amazing to get out of a car, not go to a ticket window, go through a gate, and find yourself on the top of Lone Peak, I'm up for the future. I'm up for what's happening, and I'm grateful for what Rusty's been doing. Let's learn a bit more.
Alan Rusty Gregory left a football career behind to work at Mammoth Mountain, moving up from a lift worker to ultimately becoming CEO and owner. He went on to head up Altera Mountain Company and played a pivotal role in its early growth and development of the Icon Pass. Gregory grew up in Southern California, playing baseball, football, and surfing. But after a collegiate football career in Washington, he discovered skiing and parlayed it into a career. After arriving at Mammoth Mountain in 1978 as a lift operator, legendary owner Dave McCoy saw his natural talent and vibrant personality, mentoring him as he rose to become CEO in 1995. Gregory's tenure came at a time of change for the ski industry, with waves of acquisitions. Shortly after becoming CEO, he guided the company as IntraWest invested heavily in the community. When the Starwood Group acquired Mammoth in 2005, he became board chair, a shareholder, and remained as CEO. In the past decade, he was on point with some of the most impactful changes in the ski business. He led Mammoth's 2014 to 2015 acquisition of Big Bear Mountain. 2 years later, he piloted the deal with KSL Capital Partners and Aspen as Mammoth became one of the founding members of the new Altera Mountain Company. As a senior strategic advisor, he helped innovate the Icon Pass, taking on the CEO role of Altera in 2018 and retiring in 2022. A hallmark of Gregory's contribution to the sport was his passion for giving back. His leadership on the board of the National Ski Areas Association was felt nationwide during a time of great change. He was a frequent visitor to Capitol Hill to advocate for everything from skiing to use of public land. Back home in California, he was appointed by Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger to the California Travel and Tourism Commission. He was also a longtime trustee of the Yosemite Conservancy, educating the next generation on the importance of the parks. And he became an influential trustee with U.S. Ski and Snowboard. For his pioneering ski industry leadership, Rusty Gregory joins the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Alan Rusty, he's Rusty Gregory. Having been elected by the 15 million skiers and snowboarders in America, we hereby bestow upon you this night in Big Sky, Montana, our country's highest snow sport award, Medal of Honor. And we confer upon you from this day forward, Saturday, March 25th, 2023, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where your accomplishments will forever be remembered. Whoa.
Oh my God. So I've done some intimidating things in my life. I was a linebacker, played against some big guys. You can tell by looking at me, I've been in a few bar fights. Nothing is more intimidating standing in front of this group, knowing that I'm the only thing between you and the cocktails and the after party here in a few minutes. Right? So Justin Koski admonished me in the early days about, listen, don't get up there and have a long list of thank yous and thanking your mother and, you know, all these relatives you don't really have and making speeches and boring people to death. We're not going to make any contributions that way. Make it short, sweet. Tell us what lessons you learned in the business. So I tried to come up with a few that I learned, and all the ones that I learned were these massive failures that I had created by stupid decisions at the wrong time, at the wrong place. And if I told you about those lessons, I'd be summarily dismissed as a candidate for this, so I decided not to do that. The one lesson that I really learned, however, was that, you know, when you're I have a suit on. I had to rent it, by the way. I'm not like the person they were describing, this corporate guy, trying to look like one tonight to fit the role. But what I really learned was that if, as a ski resort operator and running a bunch of ski resorts, the Icon Pass, all of that stuff, that those things don't make you a lot of friends. But I got really popular as soon as I resigned and retired. It's unbelievable. So, Stephen, you're a lot younger than me, so I want you to remember that as a lesson. If I'd known that, I would have been retired a long time ago, I can tell you. So I do want to thank some people. First and foremost, Justin, the amazing team that he's got here at the Hall of Fame, for an incredible week of activities and fun times and friends getting together. A lot of people that I know and a lot of people I've looked up to, even though I'm older than they are, and the amazing athletes that are on this list. And Justin, that's really been a lot of fun. And I also want to thank my good friend Stephen Kircher and Taylor Littleton for the really epic skiing that we've had this last week. It's really been amazing. That's epic with a small e, by the way. Just for the record, and for my shareholders, I want to make it clear that, you know, that Big Sky and the other Bourne resorts, they're like icon resorts. And so the ski industry gave me a huge opportunity to really find myself. Everybody in the drug-crazed days of the 60s and 70s were trying to find themselves, and I was no different. Really arriving in Mammoth, really having given up a dream of they said a career. That I didn't leave my football career. My football left me. I had to go out and find a real job, and being a lift operator at Mammoth Mountain was exactly what I needed. And it was an incredible, absolutely an incredible experience for me, and really allowed me to find myself. And this is stuff I don't talk about much, so I'm going to actually look at my notes, which I never do. And the time that I had in Mammoth and learning what the mountains were really all about, and under the tutelage of Dave McCoy, I really understood Dave McCoy, one of the greatest guys around. I really came to really learn what life was all about, what friendships were all about, and I can't thank him enough for what he taught me during those days. And I finally became somebody. I became a local. I mean, a local. I was a hardcore, I'm a local, you're not, one of those kind of guys. And in my mind, Mammoth Mountain was like the best, most beautiful, it's actually kind of an ugly mountain if you really look at it in the summertime, the most beautiful mountain in the world, and we were part of the mountain community, but Mammoth was absolutely the best. I was a local, I knew that. And what I really understood, actually, was that was important wasn't so much the mountains. They're what inspired us. They're what transformed me in ways that I couldn't have transformed myself. Unbelievably inspiring. But at the end of the day, everybody thinks their mountain's the best. Sugar Bush. What are those little mountains you've got up in Michigan? Michigan. Highlands and Boyne, great golf courses in Boyne, right? Every one of those mountains is beautiful to the people and the locals that are in town. They inspire people just like I got inspired. They really weren't about what mountain was the best. It was the way the mountains made me feel, the way they made us feel. And whether you go to the mountains for a day, a week, or a lifetime, like I did, they truly inspire and transform us. My next profound comments. So those mountains, as important as they are, you know, you look at them in my day, Powder Magazine, that's really the way I look at it. I'm not a digital kind of guy, really. And, you know, if you took the labels off, they're all beautiful, you know, green trees, blue skies, beautiful white snow. They're all beautiful. But at the end of the day, what's really inspiring, what's really transforming to me, and I think to the people in this room probably, about the mountains are the people that are in those mountains. Our guests, our employees, the people in our small communities, mostly small communities that are around that. What's really inspiring is the experience that they have finding the best version of themselves, like I've had the opportunity to do in the mountains. And that's what's inspiring. That's what's at the core of it all. And to me, that was what, in reflection, as I thought about what I'd say here tonight, was really the thing that inspired me the most. Yes, the powder runs and all the cool stuff that, you know, that we did. And, but it was really the relationships with those people and getting to know them and their story and talking to them on a chairlift and seeing young people start in the company, my son and my other son, my son Michael, my son Jackson, and how it shaped their lives. That was what was inspiring. So if there really is a lesson to the suits, there's like two real suits. Stephen's got one. He owns his. I have to return mine tomorrow morning at the rental shop. What really, the definition really of what a local is somebody that goes up and is having that experience and is sharing that with others. And not this idea of a local and I'm a local and you're not. And that, to me, is something that's a lesson that, you know, Altera needs to remember. And as long as I'm still alive and a partner at Altera, and I'm vice chairman now, which I remind my partners is a title, not a job, in my semi-retirement. And that is that we need to remember that local experience. So as capital comes to the resorts, to do the things that you all want to see resorts do, like the unbelievable lift equipment that's here and those big screens that tell us exactly what's going on, and all that stuff that makes a difference, the locals say, don't change a damn thing. Except those lifts, we want the lifts and we want them to go where we want to go. We don't really want the Icon Pass people or the Epic Pass people to come with us, but we want all that other stuff, right? That's familiar, right? That's the kind of local I was anyway. I didn't want anybody in my powder line on a Saturday morning. And we need to remember, as things come and go, as the past that goes global, the next big thing, as all the acquisitions and consolidation happen, capital formation, you know, synergies, efficiencies, standardization, like genericizing is one step beyond that. We need to make sure that what we stay tuned into is that experience that locals are having, real locals, people in the mountains, finding the best version of themselves. And if we're focused on that, pointing our capital at that, we'll make money. We'll be able to do the right things. We won't get stuck in thinking that the end of the game is EBITDA and profitability, that those are methods to the further end of facilitating these local, amazing, transformative experiences to our visitors, our employees, and the communities that we have, this global mountain community across the country. So those people, those relationships are embodied in this room. You know, the hugs after stories and the stuff that's going to happen at the after party tonight, that's the inspiration at all. In this room tonight, there's a guy named Todd Harps. You weren't supposed to ski on football scholarships, when I was in college at the University of Washington, but Todd and a bunch of friends, he lives in Bozeman now, took me up to Crystal Mountain, which Altera actually owns now, and took me to the top of the lift. I'd never skied before. That's a real mountain. It had real snow. It was really deep, and it was so good they left me, and it took me all day. It was dark by the time I got down. Somehow that inspired me to fall in love with skiing. I think there was something really demented in that. Bill Jensen is here tonight, who's an inductee a few years ago. Bill was always ahead of me in everything. I stayed in Mammoth and had a lot of jobs in Mammoth, lift operator, snow removal operator. I worked for each one of these guys, including my son, or at least he thinks I work for him. And I stayed in Mammoth and had every job in Mammoth. Bill had every job in the ski industry of big companies. He ran resorts at Vail. He ran North Star. He ran big hunks of Vail. He ran Interwest. He's run Telluride. He's involved in Sundance now. He's always been way ahead of me. He's one of those people that inspired me with his experience and what he did. There's somebody else in this room, Jim Donahue, who I wouldn't be here, Mammoth wouldn't be here in its current shape if he didn't have the guts when we were absolutely stone cold broke in 1990 with no snowmaking and no money. And we were about a month away from not meeting payroll, no snow on the ground. That went against all the credit committee census in those days and lent us enough money to get by, and then Mammoth started growing, and the rest is history. He was another person that was moved by the experiences that he had in the mountains. So that's the lesson. And that lesson is less to the people in this room and more to maybe Stephen, me, others that are running companies, that if we stay plugged in to this global mountain community that we're all part of, and these experiences and inspirations that people have when they go there, and if we put capital in that direction, enhancing that experience, we'll be around a long time. We'll figure out with other partners how to mitigate climate change, survive like we always have, and that there'll be generations of group like this sitting around saying, God, weren't we bitching in those days? Having fun, living it up, and we deserve to because we collectively have given people some unbelievably transformative experiences, and it's such an honor here as a suit to be sharing that with all of you here in Big Sky. Thank you very much.